You know, the Genesis G70 has always been this fan favorite Korean sports sedan, right? Well, for 2026, Genesis is shaking things up in a big way, and that includes a pretty massive price cut on their top model. So let's dig in and see what this all means.
And that really brings us to the main question here. With a price drop this big, is the G70 suddenly a better deal than it's ever been? Or, is there a catch?
So let's get right to it. We're talking about a $2,500 price cut on the top of the line 2026 G70. That's that's a lot of cash. It's a huge deal, so we've got to break down what you're really getting and maybe what you're losing for that money.
All right, first things first, let's talk about the outside. And what's interesting here is that the biggest change isn't really the look of the car itself, it's how Genesis has completely restructured the lineup. So what they've done is they've simplified the whole thing. The old 3.3T Sport Advanced trim, gone. And the 2.5T Sport Prestige is now just called the Prestige. Honestly, this makes it way easier to tell the V6 Sport models apart from the four-cylinder luxury focused ones. A much-needed cleanup if you ask me. Now, don't get me wrong, the G70 still looks absolutely fantastic. I mean, the top trim gets that aggressive smoked chrome grille, full LED headlights, and these sweet 19-inch gloss black wheels. And get this, every single G70 now comes standard with Brembo brakes. And yeah, you get those iconic red calipers if you spring for the V6. Oh, and for 2026, there's a brand new color, Capri Blue, which looks pretty sharp.
Okay, let's hop inside, because this is where the story gets really interesting. This is where you're going to see the trade-offs for that $2,500 price drop.
So the first and probably biggest change you'll notice is the leather. The top-tier Sport Prestige model, it used to come with that super plush, premium Napa leather. Well, for 2026, it now gets real leather. Now, don't get me wrong, it's still nice, but it's definitely a step down in quality, and it's a clear move to get that price tag lower. And it doesn't stop there. Another one of those premium touches that's gone from the top trim is the suede headliner. It's one of those little luxury details that really makes a car feel special, and it's definitely something buyers in this segment notice. It's just another piece of that cost-saving puzzle. And then there's a convenience feature that's been cut. That fully powered trunk that used to be on the high-end G70, yep, it's gone. Now it's a manual trunk on every single model. Again, a pretty direct trade-off to shave off those dollars. But wait, it's not all about taking things away. There's some good news here too. Genesis has actually added a bunch of value to the lower trims. Things like a heated steering wheel, ventilated seats, and a 360-degree camera, they're now standard on most models. And that's a huge win for the majority of people buying this car. Okay, so one place where things haven't changed is the tech. And honestly, this is where the G70 is really starting to show its age. It's still rocking that older 10.25-inch screen, which feels kind of small compared to what competitors are offering, and you still have to plug in your phone with a cable for Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. No wireless here. And just a quick practical note while we're on the subject of weaknesses, the trunk space is still pretty tight. We're talking just 10.5 cubic feet. That's honestly one of the smallest trunks in its class. So if you're cross-shopping and need to haul stuff, that's definitely something to keep in mind. All right, enough about the features. Let's talk about what this car is really all about. How it drives. I mean, this is where the G70 has always been a superstar. But you guessed it, there are some new compromises to talk about for 2026. Under the hood, the engine options are still fantastic. The standard 2.5-liter turbo four-cylinder puts out a really solid 300 horsepower. But let's be real, the one you really want is that 3.3-liter twin-turbo V6. It's pumping out 365 horsepower, and this thing is seriously, seriously quick. Of course, all that power comes at a cost, right at the gas pump. The V6 with all-wheel drive gets a combined 19 miles per gallon. Ugh. That is quite a bit lower than some of its key rivals, like the BMW M340i, so it's for sure something you'll want to think about. Now for what might be a really big deal for some of you, a major change to the driving dynamics. For 2026, Genesis has removed the adaptive dampers from all G70 models. Yeah, the feature that let you change how firm or soft the suspension was, it's gone. But okay, before you totally panic, the word is that the standard suspension setup is still excellent. I mean, even without being able to adjust it, it apparently strikes a fantastic balance between being comfortable enough for your daily commute and sporty enough when you want to have some fun on a back road. The car still handles beautifully. So, after all that, after looking at all these changes, the gains, the losses, it's time for the final verdict.
Is the 2026 Genesis G70 still a car you should consider? Is it worth it?
And, this really sums up the whole dilemma perfectly. The slam dunk here is absolutely the price cut. You save $2,500, and let's face it, the things you lose, the Napa leather, the suede headliner, the power trunk, they're probably not worth that much to most people. But the airball is the tech. The screen is small, the software is getting old, and it just feels dated next to the competition.
And if we look at the bigger picture, long-term ownership, the resale value after 5 years is expected to be around 42%. Now, that is a little lower than average, but it's pretty much on par with its German rivals. And as for reliability, the brand as a whole is sitting right at the industry average. So it's solid, but not exactly spectacular.
But, and this is a huge but, here is the G70's ace in the hole, the warranty. It is, to put it simply, the best in its class. We're talking a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty that just completely blows the German competition out of the water. For long-term peace of mind, this is an absolutely massive value proposition.
So that's what it all comes down to, right? Is it worth it? Are you willing to sacrifice the latest and greatest tech and a few of those little luxury touches in exchange for that awesome V6 power, fantastic driving dynamics, and the best warranty in the business? All for a lower price? Well, that's the question and the choice that Genesis is putting right on the table for 2026.